Hey beautiful, you're welcome to my channel today. My name is Chisom. If you're just bumping into this channel for the first time, thank you for stopping by. Please hit the subscribe button, turn on notification bell, because on this channel I share at least 2 videos of sewing tutorials every week. Yes, every single week I drop at least 2 videos of sewing tutorials. So hit the subscribe button now, and I promise you're going to get value for that. In today's video, we'll be learning how to cut and stitch this pinafore jacket with 720-degree peplum. If this is something you're interested in learning, keep on watching to the end of this video. Let's get straight into it. With me here, I have the 2 pieces of fabric I'll be working with. We'll be cutting the front and the back together at the same time. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2. I'll cross check to be sure that the measurement I have here will be enough for me to work with. I am okay with that, so I've gone ahead to mark out my shoulder line. From the mark I made there, I will come down by my waist length. So because we'll be adding a band of 2 inches height to this blouse, I'll minus 2 inches from my waist length. Okay, so here I have my shoulder line and my waistline. On the shoulder line, I'm going to mark out my shoulder measurement, divide by 2 and place the points there. Now on the waistline, I'm going to be dividing my waist by 4 and minus 2 inches from it. Okay, my waist divided by 4 is 7.5, and I'm going to be minusing 2 inches. That means I'll have 5 inches on that point. So from that waistline, I'll connect it to the shoulder line with a straight ruler. From the shoulder, I connected to the waistline with a straight ruler. Now I'm going to mark out the neck circumference. For the front neckline width, I'll be using 3 inches, and for the depth, I'll be using 3 inches. For my back neck depth, I'll be using 1 inch, and I'll connect it to the width of the neckline that I already have. At the end of the shoulder, I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope and connect it to the neck width. Now I'm going to be adding ½ inch back to the shoulder line for stitching allowance. Now I'm going to be cutting out the back first, starting from the back neckline. At the bottom part as well, I'm going to be adding ½ inch for joining to the band, so that I'll not have any shortage by the time I'm done stitching the blouse. Right now, I'll keep the back piece aside, and I'm going to be altering the front piece a little. Now for the front piece, I'll come over to the waistline and I'll go in by ½ inch. I'm supposed to go in by 1 inch here, but because I'll be turning this with a lining, I'll just go in by ½ inch and connect it straight to the neck point with a straight ruler like I am doing right now. So by the time I turn this with my lining, it will give me more space in between each other. So I'll go ahead and cut out right now. This is what the front piece looks like, and I have the back piece. I'll use this piece to cut out the lining pieces as well. So moving on, I'll be cutting the circle part of this jacket. I'll be minusing the upper part from the full length of my blouse. The blouse length I'm working with is 26 inches, and I've already cut out my waist length, which is 15 inches plus 2 inches band, making it 17 inches, and I have 9 inches left to complete this 26 inches. So the length of this peplum I'm going to be cutting is 9 inches, but I'm going to be adding 1 inch for sewing allowance. So to cut 720-degree peplum, 720 degree is 360 into 2, 360 times 2. So I am going to be dividing my waist measurements into two, and I'll be using half of it to cut one full 360-degree circle. My waist measurement divided by 2 is 15 inches. So I'll use 15 inches to cut one 360-degree circle and another 360-degree circle, which will give me my full waist measurement. I hope you got that. So I have my fabric folded into four. To get the radius for the 360-degree circle, I am going to be dividing 15 inches by 6.28. And whatever value I get, I'll place it from the pointy part of the folded fabric and I'll take it round in a circular form. Now after getting my radius, I'll place my tape from the end of the mark I have there and measure the length of the peplum that I'll be working with. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out following the marks that I have made. So this is what I have after cutting it out. I'll slit this open from one side and I'll use this to cut the other part of the 360-degree circle. I'll place it on my fabric and I'll use this to trace out the other part of the circle. Now I have two pieces of full 360-degree circle. I'm going to be joining this together to form one single piece. To give this peplum the structure that it has, I will be adding this interfacing to it. This is the soft type of the peplum stay or cloth gum. So this is what I'll be adding to this peplum to give it structure. There is a shiny part of this peplum stay, so the shiny part is where I'll be gumming to the fabric. So I'll place my fabric on this interfacing and go ahead and trace out the circle shape before gumming it to the fabric. I'm done tracing out the interfacing. I'll go ahead and use my iron and gum this down to the fabric. Now moving back to the upper part of this blouse, I have added tissue gum to every piece that I cut out, both for the fabric and for the lining pieces, just to give it a bit of stability. So I'll go ahead and use the lining pieces to turn the neckline of the fabric. I have turned the neckline of the fabric with the lining pieces. Here is the back piece, and I also turned the neckline of the two front pieces. Moving on, I'm going to be stitching them at the shoulder together. I'll place the front on the back and open up the shoulders like so. I'll make sure the fabric is matching the fabric and the lining is matching the lining, and I'll go ahead and join this with the 1/2 inch allowance that was added. After stitching the shoulders together, this is the outcome. You can see how neat this has turned out to be. Now the next thing to do is to go ahead and finish up the sides. So I'll take the lining and the fabric of one side, flip it over to the other side, let the other side be inside this fabric and lining that I have picked up right now. This way is going to allow us to stitch the fabric to the lining for inseam finishing. Just in case you're confused about what I just explained right now, I am going to open this up and explain it again. Just go ahead and open up your fabric like so. Let the right side be facing up. Let the right side be facing up, just like I am doing it right now. Now pick the side of the front and the side of the back, the lining and the fabric together, fold it towards the other side of the front and the back. Now tuck the other side into the fabric and the lining that you have picked, just like I am doing right now. Just tuck it in carefully so that when you're stitching, you're not going to stitch together the one inside. All you're going to be stitching is the side that you picked. Okay, so just watch what I am doing carefully. I am just trying to tuck in the other side into this side that I am going to stitch properly, so that when I am stitching it, the other one inside is not going to get in the way. So I'll pin this to secure it in place before I head over to the sewing machine and stitch it with the 1/2 inch allowance. So after I'm done securing it with my pin, I will head over to the sewing machine now and stitch it from the top to the bottom. So I'm done stitching and this is what it looks like. If at this point your own is not looking like this, then you got it wrong. Now I'll carefully push out everything from inside. So I've pushed out everything right now and this is how it is looking at this point. I am supposed to go ahead and iron it right now, but I'll do that for later. So for the other side, if at this point you're still confused, you have to watch me carefully doing this side. The same process we did for the other part is the same process we will do for this other part. Even though we have stitched the other side, we will still tuck it inside this other side that we are going to stitch right now. Let it be inside it. If it's not inside, you're wrong. Okay, so I'll still go ahead and secure this with my pin and head over to the sewing machine and sew it. So this is it. I am going to flip it out just like we did for the other parts. The next step is to go ahead and attach the band. To do that, I have already cut a long strip of fabric. This is 3 inches in width because I want to have 2 inches by the time I'm done joining it to the top and the peplum. I have this silk fabric for the facing of this band. This band is as long as ×2 of my waist measurement, so make sure you cut it long enough to go around your waist and have excess to drop. The next thing I'm going to do is I'll be flipping this band into 2 to get the midpoint. Once I identify the midpoint, I'll make a notch with my scissors. Now for the back piece of the blouse, I'm going to fold it into 2 to get the center back. When that is done, I'm going to make a notch at the center back. Now the place I notched on the band is going to serve as the center back. After that is done, I'm going to place the notch on the center back and the notch on the band to meet each other, and I'll go ahead and stitch it down. To attach the front piece to the band, I am going to fold the band like so and move away from the side by 3 inches, just because 2 inches was deducted from the waistline, and I also used 1/2 inch to join the lining on both sides. That is the 3 inches I'll be shifting away from to join this front side. So what I did to the other side is the same thing I'm going to be doing on this other side. I'll move the band away by 3 inches and make a mark there, and I am going to start from the mark I made there to join the front piece. I'm done attaching the band to the top. This is what it's looking like right now. So the next step is to use the facing to cover it up. So I'll place the facing from the beginning of the band, right side facing the right side, and I'll first stitch the end and then go ahead and stitch it all the way with 1/2 inch. So make sure the right side of the facing is touching the right side of the band. Go ahead and place it just the way I am demonstrating right now. Now I'll head over to the sewing machine and join it. After attaching the facing, this is what it's looking like. I use my iron to iron it down. You can see how the facing is hiding the stitches we had earlier on the blouse. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and stitch close the lower part of the band. I'm going to run a stitch with 1/2 inch from the beginning of the band and stop at 1 inch before where the front piece was attached. Then I'll move over to the other end of the band and run a stitch as well, and I will still stop at 1 inch before where the other part of the front piece was attached. The same thing I did on the other part, I will do on this part. So I'll head over to the sewing machine right now and stitch it just the way I have said. So I'm done stitching close the lower part of the band, and this is what it's looking like. Just like I said, I stopped the stitch 1 inch before where the front piece was attached. I'll go ahead and turn it inside out. After turning it out, the next thing I'm going to do is to take this and iron it properly. I'm going to iron it, and when I'm ironing it, I'll fold 1/2 inch inward like this. I'll fold both the facing and the band 1/2 inch inward and use the iron to hold it down. After ironing the band to lay flat, the next step is to attach the peplum to the upper part. Now this is the peplum that I have. I've gone ahead to turn it with my lining, and this is how beautiful it is looking. You can see the structured effect that the interfacing we added gave to this. It's not too strong and it's not too soft. So next I am going to take this peplum and insert in between the opening on the band. So basically the space that was left from the center front area to the other center front area is for the attachment of this peplum. So I will gently insert the peplum in between the opening of the band, making sure it is going in by 1/2 of an inch, and while inserting I'll be top stitching on the go. So I'll head over to my sewing machine right now and stitch it down. Now I'm done attaching the peplum into the band, and this is the final look. You can see how neat this has turned out to be. That is because of the way we inserted the peplum into the band. By the time I am done ironing this, it will appear even more neater. So this is the end of today's video, guys. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. If this video was helpful, kindly give this video a thumbs up. Click on the subscribe button if you're yet to subscribe to this channel. Turn on notification bell so you get notified whenever I post new videos every week.